Today, I will read Akupa Sutta, Discourse of the Unshakable, translated from the Pali by K. Nizamis. When endowed with five qualities, monks in no long time among penetrate and intuit the unshakable, which 5 year monks among is one who has attained discrimination of meaning, is one who has attained discrimination of principle, is one who has attained discrimination of language, is one who has attained discrimination of the illuminating qualities of knowledge, and he reflects upon the mind as liberated. When endowed with these five qualities, a monk is no longer time penetrate and intuits the unshakable. Translator notes, Pati Vijati, here both the literal sense penetrates and the figurative sense intuit have been given in the translation as both senses of the verb are important and maturely eliminate one another. Akupa, as adjective, not able to be disturbed, stable, immovable as noun, what is not able to be disturbed, a state of stability, lack of agitation, the state of not being provoked or anger, forbearance, Kon, a dictionary of Pali, from the Sanskrit root ka, to be moved, excited, agitated, to swell, heave or boil with emotion, be angry. Monier Williams Sanskrit English Dictionary. Mahavedala Sutta inform us that of all the various type of deliverance of mind, Seto Vimoti, the unshakable deliverance of mind, is declared the best of highest akupa tasam Seto Vimoti aga makha yati. Moreover, it says the unshakable deliverance of mind is empty of lust, empty of ill will, and empty of delusion. Sakho panakupha seto vimoti senya ragana senya dosana senya mohana. The commentary to this same passage says that the unshakable deliverance of mind is the fruit of arahatship. It is the strongest jatika of all. Hence, it is said in the sutta that it is declared the best of highest akupati arahata phala seto vimoti sa hai hi dansam sapa jatika dansam agamaka yati ti vutta. The commentary to Mizima Nikara, Mahasunyata Sutta, where again the permanent and unshakable deliverance of mind is referred to Sito Vimoti, Asamayikam wa Aku Pati. Father glosses Akupa with the meaning not to be agitated by the impure passion. Akupani Kilesahi Ekopatabam. Patisambhida, form from pati plus sam plus b, where pati plus sam should probably be understood as back together, and the verbal root behind b means to break, split, sever. Rice David and Steed propose that a literal rendering would be resolving continuous breaking up and gross. This is analysis, analytic, insight, discriminating knowledge. Moreover, they associate it with the idea of logical analysis. Pali Dictionary. Bhikkhu Jnana Loka similarly renders the term as analytical knowledge but also as discrimination. Buddhist dictionary. Bhikkhu Jnana Moli voices a divergent view in a note to his translation of in Buddha Ghosa's Visuddhimagga, where he renders paṭisambhidā as discrimination. Patisambhida is usually rendered by analysis, but the Tipitaka explanation of the full patisambhida suggests no emphasis on analysis rather than synthesis. Discrimination has been choosing for patisambhida because while it has the sense of division, it does not imply an opposite process as analysis does. Also, it may be questioned whether the four are well described as entirely logical, entirely epistemological, might perhaps be both less rigid and nearer, for they seems to cover four interlocking fields, namely meaning of statements and effect of causes, etc. Statement of meanings and causes of effect, etc. Language as restricted to etymological rules of verbal expression and clarity or perspicacious perspicacious inspiration in marshalling the other three, the path of purification. In this translation, I have decided to follow Jnana Mauli's rendering of the term. Even so, discrimination does not so clear capture the double sense of both taking apart analysis and combining together synthesis that seem to be suggested by Patisambhida. One kind of epistemological process which involves both of these activities is classification, in which various things, even within a given class or group, e.g., atha, atha, meaning, result, dharma, principle, cause, nirodhi, language, means of expression, are divided and grouped according to their peculiar differences and similarities with respect to one another. So, while each of the paṭisambhida is itself a classification of a kind of knowledge, it is also possible that each one is also understood to be a kind of ability to classify correctly the elements belonging to the kind of knowledge that falls into its scope. In Visuddhimagga, Buddhaghosa presents a list of what he considers to be 12 different kinds of piññā, understanding, wisdom, the set of satosa, paṭisambhida. For discrimination is the 12th of these. He goes on to give an extensive discussion of them, which, although of interest, is very much influenced by the Abhidhamma interpretation of the term. Buddhaghosa begins by citing the definition of the Abhidhamma Vibhinga and then proceed to follow the subsequent Vibhinga discussion. If Buddhaghosa was indeed the author of Sumangala Visalasini, as note 8 below for detail, then his Abhidhamma base account of the four Patisambhida may well diverge from the original meaning of the term in the period in which the sutta involved and were committed to memory. For the same reason, this is very probably also the case of many commentary. Frigidaire has been putting families first for over a century, and we dare to advance. Atta Patisambhida, Dhamma Patisambhida, Nirodhi Patisambhida. Nirodhi might best be thought of as the study of language, that is to say, as philology or linguistics, applying a knowledge of grammar, syntax, and etymology. Patibhana, understanding, illuminating, intelligent, readiness of confidence of speech, promptitude, wit, rendezvous, and state. The Sanskrit Patibhana from prati, ba, pratibhati, to shine upon, to appear to the mind. Used also with manasi, in the mind, to become clear or manifest. Monier William. Thus, pratibhana, becoming clear or visible, obviousness, intelligence, eloquence, brilliancy, boldness, audacity, ibit. We might also cite here the definition from Vibhinga with which Buddhaghosa opened his discussion of the four Patisambhida. See note 3 above. Knowledge with respect to meaning is discrimination Patisambhida of meaning. Knowledge with respect to Dhamma is discrimination of Dhamma. Knowledge with respect to the linguistic expression of Dhamma is discrimination of language, and knowledge with respect to kinds. Knowledge is discrimination of patibhana, atinyana, nyanam, atapati sambhida, dhamma nyanam, dhamma pati sambhida, tatra, dhamma niroti, nirota bilepa nyana, niroti pati sambhida. Jnanaesu jnanam pati bhana pati sambhida. Jnana Moli, in his translation of this passage as cited within Buddhaghosa's text, render patibhana as perspicuity, perspicuity, path of purification, yatha vimuttam saitam, pesa vikati. Tanisaro, note to this expression. The expression recurs also in Ingotra Nikara, in the introduction Nidana Katha to the commentary to Dika Nikaya, known as the Samagala Vilasani, and traditionally attributed to Buddhaghosa. There is the following interesting reference to the full discrimination. Moreover, a bhikkhu well practiced in Vinaya, depending on the attainment of virtue, arrives at the three knowledges. Well practiced in Sutta, depending on the attainment of concentration, he arrives at the six higher knowledges. Well practiced in Abhidhamma, depending on the attainment of wisdom, he arrived at the fourth discrimination, Vinayepena Supati Panyo Bhikkhu Sila Sampanda Nisara Tiso Vaja Papunati Suti Supati Pano Samadhi Sampandam Nisaraya Cha Abhinya Papunati Abhidhamma Supati Panyo Penya Sampandam Nisara Setaso Patisambhida Papunati. From this, we see that the commentary believed that the four discriminations, Sitosa, Patisambhida, were the result of the mastery of the Abhidhamma, and that the Abhidhamma is associated with the development of wisdom, Panya. However, given that the attainment of the full Patisambhida is mentioned here in the Sutta, it follows that the Patisambhida cannot be result of a mastery of the Abhidhamma, because the Abhidhamma did not even exist at the time of the compilation of the Sutta. We know this even according to the traditional evidence from the reports of the first and second councils contained in the last two sections of the Sulavagga, the second part of the Khandaka in the Vinaya Pitaka. In the report of the first council, therein only the Vinaya and the Dhamma are mentioned. Come, friends, let us change the Dhamma and the Vinaya. Hende Mayan Avuso Dhammasa Vinayasa Sagayama. Venerable Mahakassapa question. Venerable Upali concerning the context of the Vinaya, and then he questioned the Venerable Ananda concerning the context of Sutta, starting with the Brahmajala, then Samana Phala. In this way, he asked about the five Nikara, questioning consecutively. Venerable Ananda answered. Edenewa upayena Pyansapi Nikaye Puchi Putho Ayasama Anando Visajasi. Again, in the report of the second council, said in the text itself to have taken place 100 years after the Buddha's parinibbana. Tana Kopana Samayena Vesa Sattha Parinibbuto Bhagavati. The resolution of the dispute between the two groups of monks depend upon a sound knowledge of the Vinaya and Dhamma. Thus, for example, the venerable elder has learned much Dhamma and Vinaya at the feet of his spiritual teacher. When the venerable elder is reflecting upon the Dhamma and Vinaya, how is it there na Bante Upajaya sa Mula Bahudamo sa Vinayosa Pariyato Terasa Bante Damansa Vinayansa Pyesawe Kana sa Katam Hoti. The Venerable Yevarta, to whom this passage refers, is earlier described in a stereotypical formula as very learned, one to whom the Agama, the four Nikara, has been handed down, a barrier of the Dhamma, the Vinaya, the Matika, intelligence, accomplished, wise and modest, meticulous, anxious to observe the discipline, Bahusuto, Agata Gamo, Dhamma Daro, Vinaya Daro, Matika Daro, Pandito, Viyato, Madawi, Laji, Kukusako, Seikha Kamo. Here the word Matika, matrices, quote, most probably refer to the rules of the Patimokkha Sutta, which has come down to us, embedded within its commentary, the Sutta Vibhanga. The Vinaya Patika 227 rules for monks and 311 rules for nuns. On this matter, see O. von Huber, A Handbook of Pali Literature. See also Bhikkhu, Bodhi, and Jnana Moli, Middle Length Discourses of the Buddha.
We do. Introducing Tuesday Tales at Outback. Every Tuesday, enjoy mouth-watering steamed lobster tail with a juicy sirloin starting at $24.99. Meet your new favourite day, mate. Tuesday Tales, only at Outback Steakhouse.
The code Matika are probably the rule of the Pitimauka abstracted from the explanatory matrix as well as list of the primary doctrinal ca- cate- category are used to expounding the Dhamma. Again, see also the view wannabe philosophy had its development in the Nikaya and Abhidhamma. The word Matika can also be found in the Vinaya Pitaka, where it appears with the word Vibhinga, indicating the Sutta Vibhinga or Vinaya Vibhinga, and the word Khandaka, indicating the Khandakas. Therefore, it is also a word used for a specific study of the Vinaya. Abhivinaya probably studying the Patimokha Sutta. This is clear understanding earliest usage and meaning of the word Matika as it's found in the Vinaya Sutta. From such indication, we may conclude that it is fundamentally anachronistic of the commentator, perhaps Bodhisattva, to suppose that the Patisambhida were attainments resulting from a mastery of the much later Abhidhamma literature. For the latter simply did not exist at the time of the learning, compilation, and original transmission of the sutta. Now, in this present sutta, in Gotra Nikara, we find very specific reference made to five qualities: piensa, hi, damihi, that is the four paṭisambhidā mega in conjunction with what we must evidently take to be the fifth quality in question. Yatha vimuttam sittam pasavakati, he reflect upon mind as liberated. It is probable that this fifth quality is the crucial one, and that without it the four other qualities would by no means produce the result, which is the theme of the sutta, i.e., nasira sewa akupam pati vijati. In no long time, he penetrates and intuits the unshakable here.